9 body language tips to quickly project confidence. You can use your body language to convey confidence in any setting, in work meetings or at social events, for example. Use these 9 tips to straighten up and immediately exude a truthful and assertive air that positively draws people in. The most successful people understand how body language interrelates with confidence vibes and use both elements to win people over and wield more influence. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie KIWI. We are having a conversation today around body languages and how to use them to quickly project confidence. Number 1, watch your hands. An important part of mastering body language is knowing what your hands are saying, especially in a conversation when you have a lot of people. The last thing you want to do is offend someone, for instance, by jabbing a finger in his or her face, right? Think about it. Pointing can seem aggressive, but many people do it because they don't understand the cultural or social value of it or explanation to it. And they do it without understanding how intimidating pointing that is, maybe to others. Instead, when you are explaining an idea, you want to point with an open palm and keep your fingers together. This comes across as less aggressive. One thing you need to know is universally gesturing with an open hand, palm facing up, has a positive effect on others, communicating things like trustworthiness, cooperation, collaboration, acceptance, openness, all positive vibes, right? On the other hand, placing your hands on your hips, a popular position for many, can actually give off an air of arrogance. You know, people might be thinking you are on an ego trip here, arrogance or impatience, and crossing your arms can communicate that you are feeling uncomfortable, you are defensive, or you're closed off. So if you tend to play with your hair, tap your nails or on tables, or jiggle coins in your pocket when you're in front of a group, remember that behavior is not good and try to resist it. The thing here is you'll drive people crazy if you indulge in these activities. You might think this is just trivial, but for people watching you, because when people are watching you speaking or in a small group or in front of a large audience, people catch up, people pick on everything. They pick on everything. So pen clickers, hand wringers, and rubber hand stretchers all reveal nervousness. So watch your hands. Number 2, maintain eye contact. Eye contact is such a great thing. I know in some cultures it's not revered, it's not taken seriously, but I would say quasi-universally, when you're able to maintain eye contact, you're communicating to others that you're honest. You're open, you're welcoming, you're approachable, you're confident. All positive stuff, right? Those who aren't able to maintain eye contact or are the first to break eye contact signal that they're hiding something, feeling uncomfortable, or projecting a lower status than or submissiveness to the person they're speaking with, right? Think about kids. When we were all kids, when you did something wrong and your parents was kind of scolding you, you will break the eye contact signal because you are trying to hide something. You are feeling uncomfortable. The same applies when we are adults, right? So just make sure that your eye contact is appropriate, and you got to strike a balance here. The eye contact has to be proper and not become too aggressive, making others uncomfortable. Think about some of those horror movies when the actor or the actress is sort of gazing into you. She's gazing into you aggressively, right? You don't want that. For those who are interested, we read a fantastic book, The Power of Eye Contact by Michael Ellsberg. That's just a fantastic book if you're interested in the subject more. And he says in that book that in order for eye contact to feel good, one person cannot impose his visual will on another. It is a shared experience, and we just found it very powerful as a statement. So two things I also want to say too much here when it comes to eye contact is rolling your eyes and blinking too much. Those two practices can also project lower confidence, lack of confidence. Rolling your eyes can put off anyone on the receiving end of it. If you're in the habit of doing this, you should stop now, because it may show that you don't value or agree with what's being said, but in a way that's unprofessional and even worse, rude. Ultimately, this can do serious damage, right? Now, or blinking too much. Blinking too much is a sign of nervousness and anxiety or frustration, depending upon the circumstance. So since eye contact is an important part of effective communication, one thing you want to do here is stop blinking, because it could become noticeable and distracting to others, and in turn make you self-conscious once you notice that they are distracted. So stop that. Number 3, mirror your interlocutor's body language. The person you're speaking to, you want to pay attention to their body language. And this will allow you to bond with them more. Because if you want to bond with others, you want to consider mirroring their body language to build understanding and acceptance, right? Let's say you go to an interview, or you have a group meeting, and somebody, let's say 90% of the audience is sitting a certain way. You want to consider sitting in a similar position, or you want to mirror their expressions, their movements, and other simple mannerism. The reason being that you want to project to them that you're part of them, you're part of the group. You're basically trying to say, hey, listen, I'm here, I'm welcoming, I'm approachable, I'm here with you. Make sure that you also, before you mirror somebody's body language, make sure you know when it's appropriate to do so, right? Again, this depends on the circumstances of the group or the time. So you got to think about group etiquette or social etiquette at that moment. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweaty Kiwi, the awesome Sweaty Kiwi show. If you love the clarity and quality of the content so far, please consider subscribing to our channel and turn on the notification bell. We love hearing from you so that you can hear about us or from us every single day, rain or shine. Like this content if you believe we're adding value to your life. Share and comment below. One thing we want to say is that number 4 is you want to maintain a positive posture. Now, if you want to quickly project confidence, you got to be positive, and you have to show it through your posture. Now, I'm talking about, for instance, let's say you need to stand confidently. You want to keep your legs aligned with your shoulder and your feet approximately 4 to 6 inches apart. One thing that's very important is that you want to figure out a way to distribute your weight equally on both legs. You want also keep your shoulders back, but not way back, and turn your body towards others. This will project confidence. Additionally, good posture opens your airways, which ensures proper breathing, right? So if you, let's say for instance that you work all day, your work requires you to sit in a chair all day. So you want to consider practicing good posture while sitting. So for instance, when you sit, you want to do so with your back straight, with your rear towards the back of the chair, and your feet planted firmly on the floor. That way, you're able to stand straight up without having to lean forwards first. Now, this kind of stuff is important when you are in your 40s and 50s, but also critical when you're a young person, because that's how habits get formed. Okay. Number 5, avoid fidgeting. Now, fidgeting is just one of those things that, I call it one of the relic from childhood or teenage years. Whatever it is that you do, jingle coins in your pocket, tap your foot repeatedly or on the ground, or twirl your hair. Stop fidgeting, as it betrays a lack of confidence. This is something that teenagers usually do. Children also do. Fidgeting will come off as nervousness, as a sign of nervousness, frustration, or confusion. And those are the last things you want to project if your aim is to come off as confident, right? And in addition, movements like this can also take away from the message you're trying to communicate, because people, instead of listening to you, are distracted from getting to know you. So you want to pay attention to the source of to the symptoms and source of that fidgeting. What triggers it? And you want to replace those habits when you experience those triggers. Right now, an important element here is that if you want to use uncontrolled gestures, so using uncontrolled gestures is another element you want to pay attention to. If your hands are flying all over the place when you talk, those hands can become the center of attention, which you don't want. This body language may come across as desperate, and pessimism, desperation, hopelessness are things you definitely don't want to communicate, as you are conveying as an important message. And worse, what they do is they imply that things are not as they are. So controlled movements can place the attention squarely when it should be on what you are saying. Number 6, using power poses. Now, everybody is kind of comfortable with, everybody kind of knows the power poses. You have, if you want to look confident, you want to practice the poses that people, you see a lot of executives having. For instance, you have open body position that takes up space. Your body signals to the brain that you are feeling confident, and in turn the brain produces more testosterone and lowers your cortisol level. Cortisol, as you know, is the stress hormone, right? So the thing here is that you can either sit comfortably in a chair, you want to gaze, you want to look people in the eyes, you want to basically avoid any thought of powerlessness and low self-esteem. Right now, one thing that's very interesting is that if you Amy Cuddy did a great job. Amy Cuddy, Cuddy, did a great job explaining the power pose in a 2012 TED Talk, and that that TED Talk was on body language, and she reveals actually 2 minutes of various power poses that can greatly help make someone feel and appear more confident. You might want to double check that TED Talk. We'll put a link below in the description so you can go and check that. One thing you want to also make sure is that don't have bad posture even if you are among the audience, because bad posture can be interpreted in a variety of ways, most of them negative. So even if you are an audience member, you should stand or sit up straight with your head high, particularly when you are you're asking a question, you're asking the speaker a question, or if you are the speaker, when you're addressing someone or someone is addressing you. So slouching with drooped neck and shoulders can signal lack of confidence, fatigue, and weakness. And also sometimes, and that's worse, it could also come across as uninterested, and you don't want that, right? I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We are still having a conversation around 9 body language tips to quickly project confidence in any social setting. Number 7, pay attention to your face. The face is the windows to the soul, right? Or your eyes are the windows to the soul. You want to know what your standard face looks like. So you want to you want to look yourself in the mirror. You want to see all kinds of facial expressions and how you act when you are maybe happy or you're not happy, you're sad, you're frustrated. And your standard face is the face that most people see when you're looking at them, listening to them, or just talking in general. Now, some people's standard faces can be very stern and not communicating what they're feeling on the inside, right? Now, remember though that your facial expressions can have career consequences. People may avoid you, people can get mad, or people may think you are mad at them, or they can get defensive around you. So those are definitely not good outcomes if you want to connect with people and project confidence. So you want to pay attention to the comments your family members, your friends and colleagues make when you're listening to them, right? Do they think, for instance, that you are pissed, you're upset because you've furrowed your brow in concentration? So if this is really the case, what you want to do is relaxing your muscles, smile more often, and you can practice this in front of the mirror by yourself in the bathroom, or when you are just you have 5 minutes of solitude. Practice that. Smile more, relax your facial muscles, right? And so that's very important. Now on the flip side, on the other extremity here, you want to stop exaggerated facial expressions, right? So those can be easily misinterpreted. So it's better to talk, it's better to speak, it's better to use words like disagree or agree with a person, as opposed to trying to communicate agreement or disagreement through facial expressions. All right, or nodding. Some people in some cultures, nodding does not mean I agree. So if you have a point to make, for example, instead of nodding, instead of shrugging your shoulders, shaking your head, or engaging in any type of body expression or facial expression, talk. Number 8, respect people's private space. This is just a standard tip that a standard piece of advice that we everybody understands. You don't want to get too close, right? When you're speaking to someone, don't get too close. This could be a sheer violation of personal space. Now, remember though, if you happen to get closer than 1.5 feet, that can make people feel very uncomfortable, and this can be interpreted in some circles as aggression or intimidation, right? And also, on the other edge, you don't want to step back too far, right? So if you're stepping back when waiting for a decision, this can also signal to the interlocutor insecurity, doubt, confusion. So stand your ground so you can show confidence in what you're presenting. Another thing is that you don't want to sit on the edge of your seat. When you take a sit all the way back in it and rest. So your posture is straight, comfortable, confident, and relaxed. All of those things will show that you are confident. But if you sit on the edge of your seat, that tends to make others less comfortable. Number 9. This is the last but not the least. I would say this is even more important, the most important one: smile. If you want to quickly project confidence, you gotta smile, because not smiling is a big no-no. If you don't have to smile, doing so can put everyone at ease, right? If you're someone, for instance, who rarely smiles, like my cousin Joe, you may be leaving room for negative interpretations and receive less engagement from others as a result, because people really think if this person has a stern face and he or she doesn't smile, something is going on, right? Whether they're not happy to be where they are or they have a problem, and nobody wants that, right? You are projecting negative vibes, and this is not what you want at a moment when you want to project confidence, right? So whether your body language is deliberate or out of habit, you don't want to project a stern face. This can negatively impact communication, and as a result, conversations you're attempting to have and messages you're attempting to deliver can be ineffective, right? So your attitude, the attitudes of others towards you, and even business opportunities can be adversely affected as well. So you want to really know the difference between positive body language versus body language mistakes. If you know these things, and this was the gist of today's conversation, you will really get ahead in life a lot more easily. So that's pretty much the end today of today's conversation, folks. Let me quickly recap the 9 body language tips to quickly project confidence. Watch your hands, maintain eye contact, mirror your interlocutor's body language, maintain a positive posture, avoid fidgeting, use power poses, pay attention to your face, respect people's private space, and smile. On this note, I will speak to you next time, but until then, remember to smile and be marvelous.